Due to the huge supply shortages of face masks and other PPE this year, it's no surprise that counterfeit options are making a big debut on the market. But when buying PPE, it's important to know that it provides the right level of protection. So the question is, how do you tell a real certified item of PPE from a fake? Hi, I'm Rachel Walla with Ally Safety, and in today's video, we're going to talk about the differences between a fake item of PPE and a real one and how you can tell the difference. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. On July 27th, the CDC updated their guidance to help consumers identify products that are falsely marketed and sold as being NIOSH-approved respirators. Now, for those of you out there who don't know, NIOSH stands for the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health. It's a branch of the CDC, and in this video, we're going to focus on the CDC's guidance. So let's say you're online and you're searching for new surgical masks or N95 respirators to be used in the workplace. How can you tell if you've got a good batch or not? Well, there are a few key, easy things to look for that I'm going to show you now. In the most recent report, the CDC noted that in future, when NIOSH becomes aware of counterfeit respirators, they will post the manufacturer's details on their website to alert purchasers. The link to that page is in the description below. NIOSH-approved respirators have an approval label on or in the packaging of the respirator. You can expect to find it on the box with the user's instructions. They will often look like this. And because having a NIOSH certification is such an important factor today, most manufacturers who carry this certification are going to be advertising it big time. In addition, an abbreviated approval should be visible on the items of PPE themselves. This is usually included in the product images, but not always. You may need to check the product description as well. Once you have the approval number, which starts with a TC, you can verify it by going to the NIOSH certified equipment list or to the trusted source page, both of which are linked below. The third item to note is that NIOSH-approved filtering facepiece respirators, or FFRs, will always have one of the following designations: N95, N99, N100, R95, R99, R100, or P95, P99, and P100. Here's an example. Now, of course, if you're wanting protection from the coronavirus, you're definitely going to want the N95 and none of the other designations. However, if it is a NIOSH certified mask, there will always be a designation listed. Okay, so along with those items, we've got a few more that apply specifically to N95s. Number one, if there are no markings at all on the filtering facepiece respirator, it's probably not NIOSH approved. No TC or code marking on the facepiece or the headband is also a red flag. If there's no NIOSH markings at all, it definitely doesn't look good. Another thing to keep in mind is the word NIOSH needs to be spelled correctly. Remember, it's N-I-O-S-H. If any of those letters are out of place, it's probably a pretty good indicator that it's a fake. Another clear giveaway is the presence of a decorative fabric or other decorative add-ons. For example, NIOSH would never approve of sequins. With this one, remember, NIOSH stands for the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, meaning that they focus on the working population, and since children rarely have an occupation, they aren't a population that NIOSH focuses on. Now, the last one is if an N95 has ear loops instead of headbands. Surgical masks and KN95s have ear loops. They go like this and just loop around your ears. The big difference is an N95 that's approved by NIOSH won't have ear loops. It'll have headbands. They're completely different to put on because they have to wrap around your head. My advice would be, if you're buying N95s, before you make the purchase, do a quick check on the CDC's website. Many of the examples the CDC shows actually look pretty legit. N95s have a more stringent approval process because they're technically considered a respirator, where a surgical mask is more meant as a barrier to prevent your own droplets from escaping and providing a moderate amount of protection for you personally. With surgical masks, one of the first things you should assess is what level of protection is going to be required for the surgical masks you need. Surgical masks are generally used in medical settings where a moderate amount of protection is needed. That being said, most of us don't have to worry about bloodborne pathogens in our normal day-to-day roles. So purchasing surgical masks that aren't intended for medical use can actually be acceptable. For those of you who work in medical environments, though, it makes sense to be more discerning. NIOSH doesn't approve surgical masks. As the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, they tend to deal more with heavy industry and less with medical items. That being said, some manufacturers that do have NIOSH approval will try to pass off their surgical masks as NIOSH approved, when in fact you can't really get a surgical mask NIOSH approved. So what to do in that case is check out some of the other designations. Surgical masks are subject to an FDA consensus standard and the American Society for Testing and Materials, ASTM. Unfortunately, with the FDA, the best that you can do is email them at the address that they have provided, which I'm also including in the description below. When it comes to checking if surgical masks are ASTM rated, it should be listed on the package with the level next to it. Level 1 is for low risk of fluid exposure, Level 2 is for a moderate risk of fluid exposure, and Level 3 is for a high risk of fluid exposure. However, I couldn't find anywhere that ASTM is tracking counterfeit products or where they're trying to let customers know if a manufacturer is using ASTM approved products, so this one is a little bit harder to pin down. If you've purchased PPE items and when they arrive they appear to be counterfeit, does that mean that they won't provide any protection? Well, probably not. But the difficult thing to say is to what standard they've been produced. If you can get NIOSH-approved N95s, that's the best option because the N95 is a filtering face piece respirator, and you're relying on it for a high level of protection. On the other hand, surgical masks are not intended to provide a seal and are best used to prevent your own respiratory droplets from escaping, while also providing a reasonable amount of protection from other people's respiratory droplets. So it really depends on what type of work you do. The best advice I can give is to conduct a hazard assessment and get a clearer idea of the hazards of your workplace, and then provide the PPE that makes the most sense based on those hazards. I hope this video has helped you to spot a counterfeit item when it comes to coronavirus PPE. If it did, please hit that like button, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, please hit that subscribe button. Stay safe and stay healthy out there, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.